you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine. What you will realize is that you are greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim.
The road to success is through commitment and through the strength to drive through that commitment when it gets hard. And it is going to get hard, and you're going to want to quit sometimes, but it'll be colored by who you are and more who you want to be.
It's not about having more followers on Twitter than your friends. It's not about outdoing anyone. It's about how to outdo yourself. It's not about selling more books or getting more TED views than somebody else. It's about how to make sure that the work that you're producing is better than the work you produced before. You are your competition. And that is what ensures you stay in the game the longest. And that is what ensures you find joy. Because the joy comes not from comparison, but from advancement.
Now, when I decided to leave the gym and go independent, this was already a goal of mine. I've written out all of my goals. Writing goals are very important. It's very important. I wrote my goals out, and I think it was like 10 of them. And then a year later, maybe 2 years later, I went back to that book, and I swear to you, everything I've written out, I hit it without even thinking about it. There's something powerful about writing your goals.
We're not going to always make the right steps, and sometimes you have to back up and try again. And if you're in a position where you can't back up and try again, you've trapped yourself. And the system will set out honeypots for people to get trapped in. The system will set out the ideas of retirement, the ideas of the golden years, providing you benefits, providing you a healthy work environment. Why? Well, because they want people to work for them. They don't want people to realize their own dreams and escape. And that's a pain in the ass. So you got to hire more people and train them, and they want to set it up so that you stick around. You stick around in some sort of an unsatisfying world. It's up to you to see that video game problem, to see that issue as it comes up on the map. And no, I think this is a right turn. To see all the problems that could potentially lay in front of you and calculate your future. And then also look around at all the people that didn't do it and look at the misery that they're in and learn that you don't want to be like them. And then look at the people that have kind of taken chances and navigated their way. What did they do differently than you? What objectivity do they have that maybe you lack? What insight into their own mistakes are they willing to delve into that you're not, that you step back and you go, you know, I just don't want to look at myself that closely. But the person who's able to look at themselves the closest is going to get the more rational results.
You already know who you are. And that peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory.
And it's okay to have a sense of self-awareness and identity, but it's not okay to have an ego, because what an ego does is, the ego is a funny entity within the human brain. It is on your side when you are doing great. But have you ever noticed when you think you failed, it's the ego in your mind that tells you it's so bad. Everyone's looking at you. You start to sweat across your forehead and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. The whole entire world is watching. And none of it is true. When you're doing great, you shouldn't listen to that voice. When you're not doing as great, you shouldn't listen to that voice, because it's not good. When you're doing great, it's gonna get you hooked on that feeling, so that when you come down, because life is a roller coaster, there's valleys and peaks. When you hit that valley, if you can't deal, then you won't make it.
I feel guilty at 10 to 5 if I'm not in the office. I know that might sound strange to you, but there's a work ethic that I have to be half dead not to not go to work.
When you give somebody your word is so important. Once I gave her my word, I had to come. Even though I got a million other things I got to do, I said, well, I gave her my word. And that's going to go a long way with you in business. Once you give somebody your word, it's good to get it in writing, everything that you need to get done. But when you give somebody your word, you got to stand by it. Because when you start standing by your word, you'll be able to build more relationships and resources.
If you're not doing it with passion and love, and you're just doing it for money, it's the emotional outcome is going to be disastrous. And that's from my experience. That's just really what I know. So I know it has to be just for pure passion and the love for what I'm doing.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate with people.
A bunch of people that will say, yeah, well, I have a family, so, you know, it's a great idea for you to just go out there and go crazy. I have people to support. You need to listen. Stop saying that. Stop saying any of those things. Every single person who has ever done anything worthwhile or exceptional or difficult or extraordinary, anyone, whether it's great artists or authors or mathematicians or whatever the it is, everyone encounters difficulties. There is no easy road. It does not exist. It is impossible. Everyone has issues. If you have time to pursue a hobby, if you have time to do anything in your life, you can better yourself. And here's one way you never better yourself. When you come up with excuses for why other people are successful and you're not. That is dangerous when you give yourself an escape. Yeah, well, that's easy for you to say. You know, you do this, you do. Trust me, everybody has a hard road. I wanted to jump out a window several times during my young life. I wanted to jump in front of a train, just ended because it's too much pressure. Not really, but you know what I'm saying, theoretically. We all go through hard times. We all go through depression. We all go through doubt and moments in your life where it's really difficult and you're trying to figure out what your path is going to be. It's hard as shit. But Stefan and I were talking about this before the podcast starts, that is what makes you a person. And those difficult moments are what build your character. Show me a great man who's the son of a great man.
It's very easy to be seduced by doing things efficiently, trying to do a lot of things well. I don't believe that's the most important thing. The most important thing is picking the right things to do in the first place. And that's being effective versus just being efficient. So within a startup, it's success, I don't think, is measured by how many things you can do at once. It's measured by how effectively you're able to pick the one or two things that are the highest priority. And there's always going to be a seduction to get distracted and focus on 20 things at once. And the most effective entrepreneurs I know are very good at focusing on one or two things and either eliminating the rest or delegating to other people or outsourcing it, so it's not done within the team, but it's actually to third parties.
One of the things that I do before I go to bed at night is I make a quick list of the things that I know I have to deal with the next day. And I try to get those knocked out before noon, because from noon on, it's kind of like the wild, wild west. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what new issue is gonna come up. And so you wanna really be smart about your time to knock out the things that you have to. Who do I have to talk to? What do I have to review? What do I have to do with a bank or an employee or one of the businesses? And you wanna get out what I would call the housekeeping. You get the housekeeping done in the morning, and then you get to kind of go farm the fields for the rest of the day. And part of the challenge for me at least, is that the lines get very blurry of when the day actually shuts off. And that can present a real challenge to, you know, your personal life and your friends and kind of that balance. So it's hard, but the first part of my day is the focus.
And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, the line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, nah, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. And so I walked up to the line. I leaned in between two people, put my hand in the box, and pulled out two bagels. And no one got mad at me, because the rule is you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. Now, I had to sacrifice choice. I didn't get to choose which bagel I got. I got whatever I pulled out, but I didn't have to wait in line. So the point is you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You can do it your way. You can break the rules. You just can't get in the way of somebody else getting what they want.
The other thing is that you get to work your butt off. If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it is in the political arena, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, sometimes make a lot of sacrifices. Notice, if you're not willing to work hard, forget about it. So this is another rule that is very important.
When you wake up in the morning and your life means something to somebody other than you, that you have a purpose. If you don't go do the things that you're going to do, people's lives will suffer. And I think that kind of purpose, that like to live in service, not to you, but to live in service to humanity, to live in service to your family, to live in service to your church, to your city, to your country, to the world. Living in service is that, I feel like that is the purest form of joy.
Sometimes your life will be in a slump, just like sports. Some of the best shooters can't hit baskets different times in games. They get in a slump. Do they sit on the sideline and say, I just didn't hit a basket today? No, they continue to execute. I suggest to you that if you are facing a challenge, don't stop. Stay busy, work your plan. Continue to do those things that you know that work for you after you have evaluated yourself in the situation. Continue to move, stay busy, stay busy, stay busy.
You just have to have a total and complete passion, because there's going to be so many dark moments. I think the dark moments are true for any entrepreneur or any startup company. I'm sure that you talk to Steve Jobs and Apple, you'd see many dark moments. Ours happen to last a little longer than most of them, but you really emotionally have to be prepared for those dark moments.
I think every entrepreneur I've ever spoken to would echo that.
Yeah.
That there are dark moments when everything's on the line.
That's the life of an entrepreneur. And so you're going to be into it, you better be prepared for that.
You have two choices in life, basically. It's basically to succeed or to fail, you know what I'm saying? And I've been the negative road and I've been the positive road, and I would never give up the positive road. Never. I would never. Even if, you know what I'm saying, if I was the biggest flop in the world.
I only invest in things that I understand and things that I use or would use myself. This is really important. Anytime I step outside of that is usually when the universe kicks me in the nuts really hard and I lose my money. I think it's critical to, as an entrepreneur, scratch your own itch. It increases the odds of success, or the probability of success. And then as an investor, I look for people who are scratching their own itch.
Passion is not an actionable word. It's correct, that those who do the things that they're passionate about do better, but it's not helpful advice. And so the question is, where does passion come from? Passion is a result. Passion is an energy. Passion is the feeling you have when you're engaged in something that you love. Passion is the feeling you have that you would probably do this for free, and you can't believe somebody pays you to do it. And I think we mistake that passion is something we do in our private lives, but it shouldn't be done, in our careers, for example. And I'm a firm believer that you are who you are. And anybody who says, I'm different at home than I am at work, in one of those two places, you're lying. And the goal is to make everything you do in home and at work something that you have excitement to do. So how do you find the things that you're excited to do? Well, it's actually easier than you think. What are the things that you love to do? What are the things that you would do for free?